If you're somebody who's a people pleaser, imposes zero boundaries, struggles to develop healthy relationships, feels constant doubt in their abilities to achieve their dream goals, is always scared to fuck up, and hears this type of voice in their heads,
"You are not good enough, you can't do this,"
then this one is for you. Well, actually, no, it's not just for you. It's also a big ass reminder to my own self, because believe you me, there was a time not so long ago where I would have never been able to put this camera in front of my face and open myself up in front of y'all, because I was so blocked by my own doubts and lack of self-worth. So I have gone far and wide out of my comfort zone to research all the methods and understand how to raise my own value and sense of self-worth. And I'm going to share it all today with you. Hey guys, as always, welcome back to my LSD dose. And if you're new here, welcome into our community. On this channel, we're all about exploring personal transformations and how to get from scarcity mindset and into abundant being. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us, and this channel would not exist if it wasn't for it. So I'm deeply grateful to everyone who has jumped on board this journey with us so far. Thank you so much. Here's the great news. You can, without a second of a doubt, go from hiding in a cave, pleasing everyone but yourself, to rising tigress, confidence, bombastic creature you, because it's all right there in you. You just need to locate it and unleash it. And then, who is to stop you? But before we dive into what we can do to improve our self-worth and ultimately confidence, we need to have a little chat about how, why, and where this lack even originates from, and what is the difference between self-esteem and self-worth. And they are different, and mostly we tend to focus on the former, which is the self-esteem, while both of them hold a lot of importance and people say that they are the same thing. I would argue that one is more powerful than the other, and that is why this video is all about upping your intrinsic self-worth. So let's dive in. Generally speaking, a low self-image stems from your childhood. And I need us to get serious here for a second, because it is absolutely insane how many of us have suffered at the hands of subpar parenting, never reaching those expectations that have been set on us from a very young age, traumatic childhoods, and the list goes on. And if you don't believe me, here's a fucking crazy stat that literally blew my mind. 85% of the world's population suffers from low self-esteem. What? I mean, this is a joke. This is how much toxicity and pressure we experience literally since the day that we are born and until that moment in our lives when we decide to deal with this. And that is if we're lucky. And side note, I would like to know, who are these lucky bastards who are in the 15% bracket? What? Anyways, when you experience negative stimuli throughout your childhood, you develop these limiting beliefs and negative programs that then turn into self-deprecating and sometimes even self-destructive behaviors as you grow up. But one thing to keep in mind is that none of this is real and it's not set in stone, because they're just assumptions that you created in your head about yourself and the world around you. And that is exactly why it's all completely reversible. Okay, so now that we know that we can totally regain our intrinsic sense of self-worth, let's actually talk about self-esteem versus self-worth and how true confidence ties into these. Self-esteem is a lot more external. It's about how we perceive ourselves through the eyes of the world, whereas self-worth is a lot more internally stable. It's about true self-acceptance and self-compassion. It's about how we see ourselves in our own eyes, despite what the world might tell us or want us to believe. Both are important for an all-around healthy self-image, but one is simply more stable and unshakable than the other. For example, self-esteem looks to your ego and self-worth looks to your higher self. And don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with a healthy dose of ego. We need it. So let's not discriminate against it. But here's the thing about confidence and ego. They're actually on the opposite sides of the spectrum. People will tell you shit like,
"Oh my god, I'm just so newly confident because I got this new amazing job and this new amazing apartment and I'm really unshakable, and look at my new haircut and my new clothes.
I'm just like the bomb.com." girl, you're just operating from a more inflated ego. And yeah, I'm going to criticize some of the advice that is like circulating out there where people tell you to become somebody else, to create this idea and like a list in your head, or like write down like who you want to be, what you want to become, and basically mold yourself to the expectations of society and what allegedly confident human beings do or look like or act like. No, that's not it. Real confidence is so far removed from becoming a self-inflated bitch. Because when you're truly confident, you are more empowered in your vulnerability and relaxed in who you really are, in your own sense of self-worth, not in whatever anyone else tells you you should be. You don't need to go from shy to the life of the party. You don't need to go from like deeply thoughtful to highly entertaining, or say happy making DIY jewelry to the head of a hedge fund. You're like, yeah, I am an introvert, but I'm vibing with it. Or maybe I'm not so good at academia or school, but I'm great at arts. Or maybe I like my old haircut and my old clothes. Like, why do you have to go by the standard version of what true confidence is? Say like this shit.
You will not fuck me in the ass.
Unless that's who you are and that's who you want to be, but you just haven't found the guts for it yet. Or maybe you're a bit of both. Either way, your confidence should come from a place of authenticity and a stable sense of self-validation. Remember, egotistical people show off. They will tell you 100 million times about how confident and how truly amazing they are because they need you to see them thriving. They need their value to be reflected in your opinion of them. Whereas when you're truly confident, your sense of validation comes from the core and you don't care about the rest. That is literally the thing about true self-worth. It provides us with the ability to stay true and happy with who we are, no matter our fuck-ups, the ebbs and flows of life, and basically other people's opinions. That's it. So things like your job, your to-do list, like it doesn't matter what you do as long as you do it well and it fulfills you. Your social media following. You should never find value in the amount of likes, comments, and reactions that you may have gotten from your social media accounts. Your relationship status, whether you're flying solo or casually dating or in a committed partnership, your relationship status should not affect your self-worth at all. The only thing that is really important is the quality of the relationships that you develop in your life. And then things like the amount of money that you have in your bank account or lack thereof. We've all been there. You are still worthy of everything, just as long as you believe that you are. And actually, the worthier that you think that you are gonna attract so much more abundance into your life. That is just the law of nature. Your personal satisfaction is and forever will be much more important than what other people are saying, thinking, and doing. Basically, anyone and anything that is outside of yourself. You are the only one who determines your sense of self-worth. So, how do we do that? That's the question, right? Well, firstly, please stop looking at everything that we just talked about, like your job status, your relationship status, your attractiveness, etc., as your measuring guidelines to your value. And actually, speaking of attractiveness, this is like a whole other thing. The most attractive people in the world are the ones that are completely comfortable in their own skin. But more on that in another video next time. Secondly, you gotta focus on identifying, confronting, and externalizing that inner critic, that negative inner voice that we all have in our heads. The more you allow it to take control over your mind, the more you're giving it power and confirming its perceived authority. When you hear it criticizing you, you gotta reflect on the content of what is actually being said in your mind. Like, is it giving you constructive criticism? Is it based in any type of reality? Is it all just a bunch of bullshit, which 99% of the time it is? So identify it, confront it, and feel empowered enough to tell it to go the fuck away. And now you just have to commit to being more positive and uplifting towards yourself. Like, regardless of whatever action or inaction that you took, your value and self-worth remain intact. And if you're still in doubt, use affirmations. Like, for example, last week I got ghosted by a guy. Yeah. And of course, it made me feel a bit shitty about myself. But what I did was I started screaming affirmations in my head and into the mirror or wherever the fuck I could do it, and reminding myself, I'm worthy. This is not indicative or any kind of reflection on my value and my self-worth. And it actually, believe it or not, worked. In like about, I don't know, an hour, I start caring. Because guess what? The only person that it actually reflects upon is the other person and their lack of decency and maturity in their own lives. Next one is super important. Get rid of all the people in your life that are bringing you down. My God, I keep on saying this, but it is so vital and important to you being surrounded by healthy and positive, encouraging environments where you can grow and thrive as yourself. And for some extra hygiene points, unfollow or unsubscribe from all those people on social media that make you feel unworthy or less than, because you will never be able to be like them, allegedly, or your life is just shit because theirs are so amazing. Indirectly, and it's not their fault, but these fictional characters, they bring you down. They make you feel small. So it's not healthy. Instead, go and follow or subscribe to somebody who brings you value, who inspires you, who encourages you to be yourself and love yourself and just be happy in this life. It's really not that hard to do, but you will see such a major difference in what you're constantly exposed to on a daily basis and how that makes you feel. And just remind yourself that you no longer need to please anyone. Learn how to say no. You alone, I'll say it again, you alone control how you feel about yourself. Forgive yourself for any mistakes or bad judgments or lack of actions or whatever it may have been that you have gone through in the past, or the struggles. And instead, say things like these to yourself. I accept myself for who I am. I accept the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is how I am, and I am at peace with that. This one is probably the most important step, and I think something that most of us struggle with. I definitely have. And that is about taking your power back, taking responsibility for your own life, and just remembering that you are the only missing piece towards you becoming your best, most amazing self and you creating your dream life for yourself, because you're the only one who literally has the power to influence your circumstances and all the events that are happening in your life. Once you accept this sense of self-responsibility, you will truly liberate yourself and stop living so much in that victim mentality. You will take that power back. You will feel empowered. And actually, on our course, we go through the topics and the exercises for self-acceptance and fears and forgiveness and taking responsibility for yourself and your life. If you are interested in really improving those areas in your life, I highly recommend you check it out. I will, as per usual, link it below. And guys, basically, last words of advice. Remember that building up your self-worth is not a destination, it's a journey. Take your time, be kind and compassionate with yourself. Learn to truly accept yourself where you are today in your life. And with every little step that you take forward, celebrate yourself. Celebrate your small wins in life. Be patient with yourself. And, it's a process. It's a long ass fucking process. I'm still going through it. I think like most people in this world are going through it. But, with a bit of dedication, we will all get there. So thank you so much for tuning in today. As always, hope you found this video useful. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment. The support means a lot to us. And I will see you on the next one. Mwah.